Hey everyone, welcome once again to Coaching with AT. I'm glad that I got a tremendous response from a lot of you who have gone through the interview preparation process, how to conduct an interview, pre-interview, during the interview, and post-interview. And today I'm going to talk about another very popular and frequently used interview process that is called as Gallup. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard about Gallup interview process, but this is one of the most popular and widely used mechanism to assess the uh, candidate strengths relevant to the job. Now, I remember I myself had undergone a Gallup interview close to around 11 years back or 12 years back when I had appeared for a senior role in one of the organizations. And I remember the entire interview went up to 2.5 hours or 2 hour, 20-minute process. And I had answered close to more than 100 or 120 or 130 questions. And I can tell you that at the end of the interview, my mind was absolutely lost. I could not think of anything. Well, I'm not here to scare you that what Gallup does, but I'm here today to talk to you that what is this Gallup interview all about. So before we get into, let me give you a brief preview. What is Gallup? So Gallup is an organization which is into talent assessment, talent management, psychometric tools. They have very proven tools and which are used widely globally on psychometry assessment of people in an organization, right from a junior level to the senior most level. They have various tests, different tests under which they conduct this program. So this is the tool which is little different than the standard tools, because when we do face-to-face interviews, we get to know about person's skills, knowledge, but we can't go deep inside the mind of a person to understand what are the hidden talents he has basis the life skills that happens or the life events that happen. So Gallup actually goes very deep into it, and I will take you through the entire process, that how it happens, what kind of questions they ask, what they try to drive out of those questions. So all set, let's get into the entire understanding of this Gallup process that will give you a detailed insight that how it runs. Now, before we really move into, let me tell you that Gallup was founded by George Gallup in 1935, and since then it has evolved as an organization. This is a US company based out of Washington, DC, and they are working at various countries. Today, a lot of the leading corporates, particularly the US multinational companies, use this process very often. And every test that an individual goes into, there's a huge amount that the company pays for that interview process. So you can understand that not everyone will go for a Gallup round, because generally this Gallup round only happens as the last round after all the face-to-face or telephonic interview process is done. So this is just like the final assessment that is done. And another insight that I will give you while we talk further, that here you don't get any marks in this. You only get rating, whether it is A, B, or C. So this is the organization benchmarks, whether they take A or B, they select the people, or otherwise they completely reject the person. And there is no explanation to it. So let's understand that since it's a psychometry tool, I can do my best in making you understand that what it is, but at the end of the day, it is you who has to prepare and understand the methodology behind the Gallup interview process. Now, what is the Gallup interview method? Let's understand that the Gallup interview method is all about predicting the future job success. So what they have done is, based on the job role any organization has, they first understand that what are the success factors that are relevant to a particular job. From those success factors, they start understanding that when a person will come into this job, how he or she has to behave in a particular pattern. So the entire system or methodology around conducting a Gallup interview is to understand the future capability of that individual, that whether that person or an individual will fit into that role or not. And that is by going much deeper into the talent part that I'll share with you soon, that how do they do that. That's the entire purpose. So it is very different from what we do as a face-to-face round, when we understand the attitudes, behaviors, and we understand the skills and knowledge. This is much, much deeper than the standard one. So what is Gallup interview? So Gallup interview, if you look at the traditional definition, what they say is, it looks at what success in a particular role looks like and seeks to match candidates with role in which their strengths can be optimized. So this is something that they look at it from the future pacing, that whether the current candidate that they are going to hire or an organization is going to hire, will he or she will be fitting into those scheme of things or not. And how do they do that? So how do they do that is very simple, and that is by asking questions. So as I narrated my own personal example, when I went through the Gallup process, I had answered more than 130, 140 questions. And one very important aspect that I would like to share in this is that the interviewer who is sitting remotely at some other location will be asking you this question only over phone. And the second important thing in this process is that they will only repeat the question, they will not explain the question. Now, this is something which is very tricky, because a lot of time you need to go into the depth and understand that what exactly they are looking at when you are answering it. Because if you answer it on your own in some or the other way, you might come out, you will start missing out the core crux of the question. So these questions are defined in such a way that probably, that's my guess, that every question is actually mapped. So every 10th question would have a sequence of the first question. So if you say that, let's say, are you an organized person? And you say on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. So let's say you have rated 9 or 10. And subsequently, you might find that there's a 10th or a 15th question will come. Tell me, how do you plan your day? Now, you may not have realized that around 10 questions back, they asked you the rating, and now they are asking you, how do you organize the day? Now, if you are not talking in the real terms that how do you plan when you rated yourself 9 or 10, the psychometry tool will clearly map that there is a mismatch in the understanding. So we'll understand that a little more in the while. But what are the benefits that an organization gets when they ask this question and do this? Number one, it helps people and organizations a lot. When I say people, because you get the right person fit for a role, and people all around that role who are getting involved directly or indirectly gets benefited, because you have the right person sitting at the right place for doing the right job. And organization benefits, in very simple words, you get the right talent sitting at the right place, and the productivity, if not guaranteed, but it is set in the right direction, that it will take you through the complex process or complex situations that an organization can face. So it's a win-win situation for people and the organization, and obviously for the candidate, because he's also joining an organization which is meant with a lot of people like this. The second part is that these questions also help to find out some unique strengths, and these unique strengths are very deep inside. But these questions will bring out everything if you have understood the process very well. And also, these questions are all related to life themes. Now, I'll explain you what are these life themes means. Now, when it comes to asking questions on life themes, they only try to dig out the most deep-seated part in you on these three parameters. That is thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So how do you think? What is your thinking pattern in terms of taking out, solving any problem, or behaving in a particular situations? And then how do you feel when you do that? So that's also very important, because do I feel frustrated? Do I give up? Do I really go forward, look forward? I take initiative. And how do I feel after that? A lot of things will come out when you give an interview on Gallup. And the third part is behavior, because what we do affects how we think and feel. So they're all interrelated to each other, and these questions will hit so deeply at the right spot that your answers will start sharing and predicting. Your answers will start predicting your this triangle of emotion, thoughts, and behavior. So understand the depth of the questions that will drive you in this process. So what to expect in a Gallup interview? Very simple. As I said, it can happen through an online medium. You will be given a psychometric test to evaluate your strengths, or it will be through a telephonic conversation, which I said that one needs to attempt, and this will last for, on an average, 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours maximum. So you need to have a place which is disturbance free, where there are no people. And in a normal scenario, they will once you are selected, once you are shortlisted, you will get a call from Gallup. They will fix a time with you, and based on the appointment that you give, what is a convenient time when your phone is not disturbed or you are not getting repeated calls, that you have to decide. And once you give an appropriate time, they will call you exactly at that time. So I would recommend, at least for my sake, I try to take the morning slot somewhere around 7:30 or 8 a.m. because that is the time when I'm more fresh when I get up and I can answer most of the questions. And secondly, I would not be like disturbed with all incoming calls, because they generally start coming after 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. So it's very important to understand that when you are fixing your interview. Another very important part that I would like to add here is that you cannot prepare for Gallup interview. When I say cannot prepare, means that you cannot mug up the answers what is given to you, because every question that they ask will have its own way of responding. So you cannot rehearse the answer. But what you can do is that you can feel relaxed, you can feel at home, at ease when you are answering this question. That is why I said that you need to select a place which is calm, undisturbed, and with full of focus. And also use these earphones while you are attempting or attending this interview, because the questions will come straight to your ears and you can focus on that. So let's get into some of the questions, and I'll give you that what exactly they are looking at as good answers. Now, first example, tell me about a time when you really felt successful. Now look at this felt word. Now this is clearly indicating the feelings that they want to know. Now here you cannot escape. You have to give a real-time situation and also tell about exactly what happened in that situation and how did you felt. So you felt good, you felt happy, and how did you arrive at that success? So they want to know the journey of this. Let's look at another question. How competitive are you? So now this is a very subjective question. So you may say I'm highly competitive. So you can yourself, or they may add, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate? Generally, when you are answering this question, you should rate not less than 9, 10, or you can even rate 11. There is nothing wrong in it, because it's your confidence. That's what I said, that it is predicting your inner talents. Do you have confidence in you in saying that you are 11 in terms of 1 to 10 scale? Let's look at another one. Tell me about a professional experience when you really felt uncomfortable in your role. Now look at the word they're using, uncomfortable in your role, which again talking about your behaviors and feelings. And that is where the difference is, that when you share any experience, now it's talking about your experience from the past, you have to narrate a lot of examples. And if you can do that, you will be able to come closer. And examples have to be very, very relevant to your real-time situations. As I said, you cannot mug up the answers. You have to remember your good times, your bad times, and basis those examples, you can narrate all these incidents. What is the best praise you ever received? How did that make you feel? See, again, they are talking about when did you receive the best praise. So again, they want to bring out that what hard work you did, how you did, when you did, and basis that you will be able to give the answer and get an idea. Are you a quick thinker? So it's a very close, open, it's a very close-ended question, because it will either end with yes or no. So when you say yes or no, you also need to give a little bit of answer in terms of the example or the justification that requires. So don't limit any of your answer with just yes or no. You need to give certain answers which are very, very detailed in terms of the examples. And that is the reason it takes a lot of time. let's take another question. Do you usually seek out the leadership position? Now you may say yes. Now if you say yes and you close, your answer is not up to date. You need to give a detailed answer when it comes to explaining that what did you do when you exhibited that role, or you went into that leadership role. Another very important tip that I would like to give is, don't use three words in Gallup interview, which is a thumb rule: however, but, and if. I repeat, however, but, and if, because here you are trying to give an answer in the form of ideal situation. So for example, uh, how do you organize your work? So if you answer it, I organize my work, organizing work is very important. However, whenever I go into my work, I add things. I will put my first things first and I go out. Now, why they say that don't use however, but, or if? Because if you use these words, they start giving a justification of an answer in the reality terms, or in terms of the ideal ways. And that is not what they are looking at. They are looking at the realities, what exactly you are thinking about it. Well, the whole idea about the Gallup interview is you need to prepare well with respect to your real-time examples. So the more you can think on those areas, the more better you are closer to getting selected in this process. So I hope to an extent you would have got some idea about what Gallup is, what kind of interview process it has, what does it do, and what you need to prepare. So if you have any question, feel free to write me on this channel, Coaching with AT. And if you found this piece useful, share it with your friends and subscribe my channel, Coaching with AT. Thanks a lot for watching this.